Okay, good morning, everybody. Sorry, I was a little behind there. And I'm just going to get going with the live stream. Go through. All right, there we go. So first off, I want to quickly talk about, I think some of you have probably seen that Rachel Zwarich and has been kind of taking the lead on this for Alpha House, and I want to give a nice shout out to Rachel for her work with this. But you'll notice at every office location right now, we've got Hampers. Sorry, I don't know if people phone me at sales meeting time. We got Hampers at every office location right now, and what that's going to do is we're helping out two different families right now who are stationed at Alpha House. Pardon me. Who are stationed at Alpha House. And if you don't know what Alpha House is, for those of you who don't know, this is a place for a second stage housing initiative that helps women and children who've escaped and fled domestic violence situations, and they are trying. Alpha House is there to get them reacclimated to society, help them get back on their feet, get jobs for their kids in school. And a lot of times these women and children are living under the threat, and they can't go back home, right? Because there might be somebody lurking around, and their lives are in danger, and they've escaped dangerous situations. And so it's Christmas time. I want to say, Royal LePage is built on helping you is what we do. And I want to show that to these families who could really use our help and help them have a great Christmas. I don't know about you, but if you want to take a second to think about what it would be like to be away from your family and have your kids and have to be away from home at Christmas time because it's not safe. I can't imagine that. So if you try to, I hope that it hits you in the feels. And these are, there's two different families. And we'll send out some more correspondence with this, but this is kind of what they're looking for, and you can drop these things off at any one of the office locations. Again, so the kids looking for some Transformers, Lego. 7-year-olds got some more toys, Pop-It Razors. I don't know what that is, but remote control cars, I know what those are. Rainbow High dolls, I don't know what that is either, but dolls, remote control, LOL dolls. Again, I'll have to check with my nieces on what those things are. But you can see here, soup bowls, mugs, automatic soap dispensers, socks, for crying out loud, sports bras, spice racks. I mean, these are things that, some basic human needs that these guys, that they need. And so let's try to help them out. Family number 2. Again, anything from groceries, wool socks, clothing for boys, clothing for girls, again, dolls. Lego continues to be popular. If there's anything, some gift card for some skincare things, that'd be great for their daughter who's and the mom, food hampers, etc. So anyways, just want to throw those out there. Rachel, I know, has posted on the Primer's on the Primer site, but as well, we'll send out some more email correspondence for this. And again, as you walk by every office, you see the hampers are there. So let's make sure we dig deep, and again, everything that we do, right? We're blessed so that we can be a blessing. We grow so that we can give. We've just had a phenomenal year. I mean, and Cass is out there buying lots of things on behalf of Prime as well. Everybody's probably had one of the best years in real estate ever. Let's make sure, again, we grow so that we can give. And let's make sure we can really just bless these families who could use our help. Speaking of some learning opportunities that are coming up, most of you should have seen already, your emails have been going out. Cass has been busy emailing everybody and for your one-on-one annual review. So please make sure that you take a look at those emails from Cassandra and book in your time slot with your broker. It's either myself, Liz, or Elliot. And you can choose, again, in person or Zoom on the registration page. When you click the link, you'll be able to choose your time slot and choose how you want to meet. So just make sure you keep an eye out for that email and book in your time slot sooner than later, because they do fill up quickly and the calendars are looking very full here for the end of the year. So, but I love these things. I love how much, I always like to give back, of course, and hopefully you guys can learn something in these meetings, but I love how much I learn from you guys as well about what's going on with the brokerage and with your lives. So I look forward to those meetings. And again, they're starting already this morning. So good stuff. Keep it out for that email. As mentioned before, rlp.ca/training's got a whole bunch of different webinars and repeat and referral marketing training going on this month. So keep an eye out for that. I'm going to go to just a website here and let's see what we got. Keep in mind, this is, whoops, my computer is lagging today. Part 2 of how to make 2022 the year of you with Jazz Sakar. If you don't guys know Jazz, he is he's a social media, and he's got his own podcast. Just an amazing guy, and he's built an amazing team of realtors. And so he's talking all about how to, the second part is all about actually the technical part of using camera and video and what things to use for podcasting, for Instagram and social media reels, etc. And there also is part 1 there. I include the link in the email. You can check that out if you missed part 1. And part 2 is on Tuesday, November 30th at 2 p.m. For those team leaders out there, remember Thursday, December 16th, an all-day event from 10 to 4. We've got Richard Robbins is going to be coming in and talking about your teams and how to be a great team leader. Marking your calendar as well for January 10th, the Royal LePage National Virtual Kickoff is going to be from 1 to 2 p.m. Sorry, 12 to 2, 12 p.m. Central. We've got Phil Soper going to be giving us an industry update, which is good. Don't miss that because it's always great. I always learn something from Phil and feel smarter whenever I leave the room with him. And then Habzan Khan, getting the right things done, a guide to achieving more without burning out. Sounds like a great topic. Looking forward to seeing him. Again, mark your calendars there for January 10th. As well, we're going to be having another kickoff meeting. There's going to be a lot of stuff coming in January. Tis the season for kicking off. But I think it's going to be the 17th, the week after. For those of you who don't know, part of my networking is with another brokerage group from across Canada, the large brokers across Canada at Royal LePage. We meet on a regular basis, and so we kind of combine forces and do a little bit. We've got, I know one of the guests is Tom Cochran. He's going to be talking and doing some musical performance for us, and I believe we're just booking down our second speaker right now. So I think it's going to be the 17th, but anyway, just giving you a sneak peek. Stay tuned for that. We're going to have another really cool kickoff meeting for you guys in middle of January as well. If you looked at your emails this morning, you probably also got a message from Manitoba Real Estate Association, and it has a whole bunch of different, for the new Services Act, some new training. Now, don't get me going on how brutal this is as far as here's a whole bunch of things to read. Here's a handbook and a bunch of webinars to watch. I'm a little disappointed with their rollout and how they're training this stuff. But at the same time, there is this one right here. This is a good one. The webinar will be with MLT Aikens, who's going to be going over the creation of personal real estate corporation. So for those of you who came to the first one, I think you got the information you need there, but there is going to be a second one here as well. So if you don't have those questions already answered and you want to learn more about incorporating and how it's going to apply with the new Services Act, you can check out the webinar there. So make sure you find that email from MREA, go through it, and there's handbooks and different links to watch some webinars. Of course, we'll be doing as a brokerage some more training and some more hands-on training for you. But for now, this is what we got. If you want to brief yourself on what's going on, I highly recommend taking a look at some of those links that they sent out. So here's a wonderful handbook they give you, and they just tell you to go read 85 pages. So thanks a lot, MREA. Well done. Anyways, I think I've expressed my opinion on that enough. All right. All righty. Just wanted to talk a little bit. It's interesting. It kind of comes in waves, but this week was, or I should say last week was the week of customer complaints. A lot of clients phoning in, customers phoning in and talking to me and complaining about different situations. So I always like to just share, hey, here's what's going on. Here are some of the complaints that I get on a regular basis. And hey, how can we potentially avoid these things as agents? So the first one, as you can imagine, the first thing that we get complaints about is fixtures and chattels. Like by far, fixtures and chattels are the most complained about thing in the world, that come from other agents, that come from lawsuits, that come from customers, the clients themselves. Pardon me for 1 second. Right. So the biggest problem with these is the discrepancy between what my agent said. Right. My agent said that thing is going to stay. My agent said that that's going to stay or that's going to go, and they make an assumption. Right. And then, of course, once you start talking about that, you get into, that's who they're going to blame. Right. So even if you didn't do anything wrong, even if you make, well, that's going to stay. Right. And because it should have stayed because it's a fixture, or you think it's a fixture, it's very believable that's a fixture. And you say, yeah, that's going to stay. And it doesn't stay, which is truly if it's supposed to, the seller's fault. The seller removed something. You're the buyer's agent. So how am I supposed to know the seller's going to take that giant boulder from the front yard? Right. But guess what? You're the only person they blame. Right. So there's some cases truly where it's like, hey, the seller completely acted, insanely, and you really it's not your fault at all. But other times, I will say it is the agents that have a part to play, because it's your job to be specific. It's your job to go through the home and make sure that we know what, and if there's any of those borderline items, right? The gazebos, the hot tubs, the TV mounts, all those kind of things, which are sometimes, the picture on the wall that doesn't seem to be hanging, it might be built in, the shelving, the gas fireplaces, all of these things are kind of these, you could argue either way, the garage hoists, the shelving in the garage, the workshops, the benches, all these things. It's up to us to know this stuff, right? So what to do? I mean, really, this is just a bear down thing, but don't gloss these things over, right? I know fixtures and chattels are sometimes the last thing we worry about, right? We want to sell the property, and that's the hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars. And I don't want to be an appliance salesman, but at the same time, this is what causes the problems. And it's not about winning in court; it's about not being there, right? It's not about winning the argument; it's about not having an argument. So don't gloss this stuff over. Make sure you put it in your buyer checklist, or when you're viewing a home, or if you're writing an offer on it, going through those fixtures and chattels. And if there's any of those things that are questionable, write them into the bloody offer. Okay, I can't say that enough, and I've said it for years and years and years. Make sure you put it in the offer. So if it's not in the offer, it has no force or effect whatsoever, right? And again, never assume. Never assume it's a fixture. Never assume it's a chattel. Write it in. Right. Obviously, I mean, use this with a grain of intelligence as well when it comes to, certain things that are definitely fixtures. Now, buyer agents, prepare your client for move-in and what can happen so they don't blame you, right? Try to prepare them for the worst case scenarios and tell them stories about, hey, one time, we've had seller remove light bulbs, right? And if that's the case, give me a call. But hey, some sellers are interesting when it comes to their move out decisions, right? Not everybody leaves flowers and a bottle of wine and writes you a card and has it professionally cleaned. We have to do a better job preparing our clients for this. I had somebody's client call in, and that was what they were concerned about. The house was filthy. They left it this way, and the buyer's agent didn't do anything, and all this stuff. And it wasn't the buyer's agent did anything wrong. The only thing they did wrong was they didn't explain to their client, look, some sellers are going to leave this house a mess. Right. And it's going to suck. And if it does, there's nothing in the contract. There's nothing in mappable law that says the house has to be clean. So prepare them for the worst and hope for the best. Right. So they don't call me or you complaining about your lack of action when it comes to cleaning the house. Right. So also double ending. If you're doing this and you do not get your fixtures and chattels down, and you don't have this abundantly clear with both of your clients, get ready to pay, because there's no one else they're going to blame. And there really is no one else to blame. If there is a fixture, a chattel, and a discrepancy, you're stuck in the middle of this, right? And the buyer is going to say, how dare they take that thing? And the seller's going to say, you didn't tell me I had to take that. We didn't talk about it. It's not in the offer. You didn't address it. Really, there's no one left holding the bag. And so this is, generally speaking, unless you want to face the wrath of, a public complaint or something like that, you're going to be paying up and buying dishwashers and stoves and gazebos and everything else, right? So again, the point is not to win the argument. The point is to avoid it. Right? All right. Another one, similar vein, rentals, alarms, and liens. These are ones catch me by surprise. And this is where the hot water tank's on rental. There's on the listing side, Reliance or some of those, greasy companies have crazy loans and have actually registered things on title. Alarm systems are on contract, and there's liens against the home, right? So typically what I hear from the buyers or the clients when they call is, hey, nobody told me about this. Nobody told me about a rental. Nobody told me I had to pay out my contract, right? So what to do? Again, really, let's focus up here. We're getting paid a lot of money to be the professionals, right? And if you have, let's say, you can consider pulling title as a buyer's agent. Now you're like, there's $23, man, but $23 is not that much to avoid an argument. If the listing agent is a dud, I would be doing this. If you're asking the listing agent questions, they don't have a clue. They kind of can sense they're a dud. I'd consider pulling title, right? Spend the $23 to protect your client, to know what's actually coming on there, to avoid, right? $23 up front can save you thousands in the back end, right? Again, of course, put the stuff in your buyer's checklist and as your seller's checklist as a listing agent to make sure you discuss these items, go over rentals, and discuss these things, and pull title again before you do anything, so you can actually be aware of these things. So you don't find out again afterwards. Basic stuff, but you'd be amazed at how many times the basics are avoided, and that causes the problems. This is probably the most common one I've seen over the last number of weeks and months. I get calls, just random clients. They won't even tell me who their names or who their agents were, but they were involved in a multiple offer situation, and they want to know if they got jobbed or not, right? So a lot of times they'll ask, was this supposed to happen? And here's what happened in the scenario. This is supposed to happen. Is this how it really works? Because I feel like I got screwed, right? So what to do? Again, education is everything, right? Especially with multiple offers. Again, a pound of education up front is going to save you a ton of headache down the road. So again, when writing with buyers, one of three things is going to happen, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. Either they're going to call us back and give us one more chance to move up, or say we're in top three, or option two is they're not going to call back at all. They're going to pick the best offer and walk away, and we're getting a text message later saying, thanks for nothing. Or they're going to call back with an actual counter, right? So one of these three things is going to happen. And sorry, I should back that up. Oops. One of these three things is going to happen, right? I don't know which one, but if you talk to the listing agent first, understand their style, you're going to have an idea of, hey, you know what? These guys do not call back. This is a low chance that they're going to call back unless things are extremely similar with offers. They're not going to call back. Right? Interject your stories. I've had buyers win and lose by $500 with conditions, all those kind of things, right? So you have to educate them. One of these three things is going to happen. And I would, my personal strategy, I know a lot of agents do this as well, encourage them to write their best offer the first time. So if they happen to call back or they start playing these games, your line in the sand is drawn, right? I'm making my best offer. This is my best price and my best conditions. And if it goes outside of the price or terms or conditions, then I don't want the house. I'm going to sleep well at night because somebody else can go pay that much or have it for those terms or those conditions. What you hate is when the buyer says, I wish I could have done more, right? I would have went that extra mile. I would have went that extra price. I would have done that if I had known, right? And then they start calling me and saying, is this how it's supposed to happen? I didn't get a call back. My agent didn't tell me I wasn't going to get a call back. All these kind of things, okay? So again, education up front. Also on the listing side, believe it or not every listing does sell, in the 7 days, right? Hopefully they do, but some listings don't sell, right? Half the market doesn't sell on offer date, half the market doesn't receive multiple offers, half the market doesn't sell over list price, right? And that's only going to change. So this is what I hear though, is my house isn't selling and there's no strategy to get it sold. It's essentially, hey, I'm going to do my usual thing. I'm going to put my offer date up there. I'm going to take my pictures. I'm going to have my open house, maybe. And no offers come in. And so, well, let's just keep it going. And it kind of just keeps going. And you refresh maybe some more refresh your Kijiji ads. I don't know what you do. Some people do that. But when I get the phone call, it's because, hey, no one gave me a strategy. No one pivoted. No one adjusted. I haven't heard from anyone. We've kind of maintained the course. And that's about it. Right. So especially those things that do drag on, maybe it's the ones that are the higher price points, etc. But what to do is you have to beat your sellers to the punch with this stuff. If the seller is calling me, you've lost the listing, right? Like you've already lost the battle kind of thing. They've already made up their mind. They're already talking to other realtors or whatever it is, and they've already kind of written you off, right? The goal of every listing is to sell it before the seller hates you. Right? That was the old Brian Maffini line, but in a buyer's market, right? The whole goal is to get it sold before they start resenting you. Now, we're not in a buyer's market, but that's where they can, put yourself in the seller's position. You have a house that's not selling. It didn't get multiple offers. The neighbors' homes are selling like hotcakes, getting over asking price, and you are not, right? It doesn't have to sit on there for 60, 80, 90, 100 days. It can be out there to 21 days, 30 days, and all of a sudden you're looking like you're not doing your job properly, right? So, and again, does a seller ever blame themselves? Never in a million years, right? They're perfect. So you're the problem. It's a wink, right? I'm being facetious, but that's what they think, right? So a couple just what to do. Number one, don't let a listing ever go over 60 days. To this day, I'm baffled that anyone lets their listings go over 60 days. If you sign a year-long contract, a 6-month contract, a 3-month contract, 3 months is always a little tough. I try to go to 4 for 4 months minimum as opposed to 3 months. But after 60, let's say you sign a 6-month contract with somebody. After 60 days, sign a new listing contract with the same expiry date, right? So let's just pretend here June 1st is the expiry date. Well, you sign a listing today, and then in 60 days, if it doesn't sell, sign a new listing contract, still the same expiry date. But you at least get, and then you expire the old one so that you get a new listing. It comes up 0 days on market. It gets refreshed to the whole world. And it's a time to refresh the photos, videos, staging, and of course, the price. You have to get it in front of the stuff ahead of time. So if you're listing, it's the first thing that we do, or that I do, especially if one of our agents gets a call to go into somebody else's listing and it's over 60 days, we'll hammer them with this. And I can't believe that agent doesn't know how to do their job and to refresh a listing after 60 days. They didn't know that. And once you tell a seller that's what could have been done and their agent didn't do it, the seller is gone. They're off with us because their agent looks like a schmuck. Anyways, so photos, video, staging, and price, good opportunity to do that. And again, always say if you position it well from the start, we know we avoid those issues, but also that form of education and talking about, how to position the home and listening to the market and building in your price reductions with your pricing presentation. I'm not going to go into it all today. You've heard, we've trained the 3 C's. We've trained about how to position the home in the market, educate the jug of milk analogies and all those things. If you need a refresher on those, please bring it up with me at your one-on-one. But we've talked and we've trained this stuff ad nauseum. Doing it and educating the seller up front will save you that price reduction later, or it'll say that it's an easy price reduction if you explain what is value, how the market determines value, and how you're positioned on the market, and how you need to respond to the market. That's a way easier conversation than, why aren't you telling me, why isn't my house sold yet? You haven't proposed anything to get it sold, right? Maybe it's some new staging. You have to try something. Also, I forgot to put in the list here, but maybe consider incentives. You could always do buyer incentives. Instead of lowering your price 10 grand, you could do a $10,000 cash back to a buyer, right? So it costs your seller the same thing. They lower their price 10 grand, which comes out of their pocket, or they could offer a cash back, right? It gives you something new to advertise, kind of as a fun, different thing to advertise over your social media. And they'll appreciate that you actually thought of something instead of just waiting around like a goon for the house to sell. So you got to beat them to the punch, come up with some ideas on how you can refresh and revive the listing. And that will help you keep a listing as opposed to them calling other agents, because you're trying, at least you're doing something. All right. So if anybody has any comments or questions on that, happy to read them in the Q&A. Okay. Hearing and seeing none. We'll move on here. So I'm going to finish off. This is part 2 of exactly what to say. Magic phrases to unlock better conversations. If you remember from last time, I'm not going to go repeat all of the magic phrases. But again, if we want to have better conversations, we need to ask better questions, right? You have great conversations with people, you're asking great questions. And the person who controls the conversation is the one who asks who has asked the questions. If you ask questions, you're dictating the conversation. In sales, you want to have a bit more of control of the conversation, right? Again, questions start conversations, conversations start relationships, relationships create opportunities, and opportunities lead to decisions, right? You have to sell a home without a conversation with someone. So we want to have great conversations. We need to have great questions and some great phrasing. So picking up where we left off, here's one. Could it be possible, right? A great line. Pardon?
Just ignore me.
Okay, sorry. That just came in the office. There she is. So could it be possible, right? So rather than creating doubt, this creates possibilities, right? Because if you say, could it be possible? Well, all kinds of things are possible, right? So it automatically flips somebody's brain to the positive instead of the negative, right? So it's challenging, it's rejection-free, without aggression, and laced in curiosity, says the book. I like that, laced in curiosity, right? If I ask you, Liz, could it be possible? Could it be possible that the office the desk gets cleaned? Just sorry. Could it be possible, right? And so it lays. Well, automatically the other person just, ears perk up. Well, could it be possible? Maybe, right? So it explores your idea without admitting theirs is wrong, which is huge, right? And again, this is one for if there's some sort of confrontation or some objections, right? So a couple plausible examples here. Could it be possible that choosing me or choosing us would allow the most exposure for your home? Could it be possible that this may be the best offer we'll see? Right? It could be possible that our price is keeping people away. It could be possible that the marketing is doing a great job, but the market has shifted. Right? Could be possible. Right? And that will generally lead to the answer of yes. And then once you get yeses, you keep going from there. All right, next one, help me understand. Right? Confusion leads to arguments, right? And that is, I can't say 100% true, right? And all the married people said amen. Right? If you guys are not connecting on the same page, if you're not quite understanding what the other person is saying, it's going to lead to arguments. And, arguments do not sell. So you want to own some of the confusion and make the lack of understanding your fault. Like, I'm so sorry. I must be completely missing this. And I'm sure you explain it perfectly, but I'm not doing a great job understanding. So please help me understand. Right? And now that is an unreasonable request met with a reasonable question, right? So maybe there are, and most times, right, the seller is the one who's not understanding, but we have to own it, right? Or the salesperson, right? And they might have a complete unreasonable request. And I want, these pictures are all wrong. And I need all new photography. And this thing is blowing up. We should increase our price, right? A reasonable question. Can you please help me understand where you're coming from with this? Can you please help me understand what you think pictures or the increased or new pictures are going to do, right? So can you help me understand, why you want to choose another agent? Help me understand, why don't you want to make an offer on this house? Please help me understand, what have you heard that makes you think that, right? That's a big one, right? Because a lot of times people, they think something, this is what I heard. Please help me understand, what have you heard that's influencing the way you're thinking right now, right? Great one. When would be a good time? This is, again, kind of more of a closing one, great for over emails and phone calls, prospecting calls, right? Because it subconsciously infers that there will be a good time, right? If you say it is, it's not a yes or no, when would be a good time? The answer isn't no. I say, when is a good time to meet? The answer isn't no, I don't want to meet. The answer is, well, they're going to give you something, right? So when would be a good time to speak next? We just sold a home on your street. When would be a good time to when would be a good time to provide an updated evaluation of your home? Right? That's a cool one, right? Instead of asking, do you want one? Do you want an updated evaluation? No, thanks, I'm good right now. When would be a good time? Maybe if it's a year or 5 years. Cool, at least you got a timeline. Next one. I'm guessing you haven't gotten around to. For this one, again, more of an email follow-up. Let's say you're doing some prospecting over email or following up some old leads, things like that, and you've kind of left them off and they haven't gotten back to you. It's more of a follow-up line here. It removes a chance for the other person to give the excuse, right? So I'll go into that in a second, but by pushing away the negative scenario, people will rise to the occasion or tell you how they're going to fix what they said they will do. So for instance, if somebody gives you a stall and says, you know what, I got to talk to my wife, and they don't get back to you, you can follow up with basically saying, I'm guessing you haven't gotten around to talking to your wife. Because now you've just basically taken that excuse out of their book, right? So I'm guessing you haven't gone around to setting a date yet, interviewing those other agents yet, making a decision yet, making those repairs you want before you list your home, right? So it's more of an email kind of follow-up. I find it to be good that way, also over the phone, but I'm guessing you haven't gotten around to. You have 3 options. This one is one of my personal favorites. Okay. Now it might be 2 options, 3 options, but 3 options is generally best. But it's perfect for narrowing somebody's focus and removing the fear of being manipulated, right? Because people like to buy, they don't want to be sold. You want to empower them to make up their own mind, but by you giving them options, you're helping them choose, but you're controlling what the options are. Does that make sense? So you can stack the options to your favor and then ask which of these options is easiest for you, right? As a FSBO example, right? You've got 3 options. You can either sell privately, you can sell with a limited service such as yellow sticks, or you could use a professional. Which one of these options is the easiest for you, right? And asking that question doesn't say which offer is best. You say which one do you feel is going to net more money in your pocket? Which one is going to, be easier for you and your family and your kids to navigate, right? So by giving them the options and asking the question, you've shaped their again, you've narrowed their thinking into these three options that you have given them, and asked the question that gets them, that hopefully you phrase it in a way that gets you what you want. If that makes some sense. Three options. Two types of people. I like this one too. It's a statement that presents some choice again, and it's good for polarizing. If people are, consider using very polarizing examples, right? There's two types of people. There's good and there's evil, right? There's two types of people. There are two types of buyers. There's a right way and a wrong way. There's a good way and a bad way, right? It helps people make a decision. Again, it narrows their mind again, their choices. So, for instance, right, there's two types of people: those who know a good offer when they see it, and those who look back thinking what could have been. Right. So here's people who make a great decision, who act on the market, who make a strong offer and win the house. And there's people who wait around and make soft offers and they lose 15 times, right? Those who focus on the dollar and those who focus on value. There's two types of people: those who listen to to these sales meetings and do nothing, and then those that listen to these and apply and learn and grow their business. That one's for you. I bet you're a bit like me. Again, this is a great line. It's very disarming. It's naturally agreeable, right? I say, I bet you're a bit like me, right? It kind of just has that way of calming a room, right? It's great for talking to strangers, and it often results in the other comfortably agreeing with you if you have something reasonable. You say, I bet you're like me. You like to blow, $30,000 a hand at craps. It's like, well, no, that's pretty extreme. If you're reasonable, they're most likely going to agree with you. You do want to make eye contact. You want to be sincere and watch them nod along with you, right? So I bet you're a bit like me. When I'm selling something, I want to get the best price with the least amount of headache. I bet you're a bit like me. You're busy around wearing multiple hats, and you just love it when somebody just takes care of something for you, right? And you can see how these will slowly guide. Those are just a couple of different examples, but you can slowly lead somebody down the road and bring them to the water that you want them to drink. If then. Now this is, you use this, especially if you're your parents, you use this one, and it's actually interesting. Is we are actually, there's another book called Influence, I believe, and they talk about this. We're kind of pre-programmed to know this, and we're pre-programmed to believe that this sentence structure, it works because our parents have been using on us for years. And if you're a parent, you're using on your kids. If you do this, then this is going to happen. If you do that again, then you're going to go to your room. If you do this, then you're going to get a treat, whatever it is. So this sentence structure has been ingrained in our brains since we were children. So we're actually programmed to trust it. So if you get your home staged, then you'll have the best chance of getting multiple offers. If you use my services, then you won't be disappointed. If you follow exactly, the game plan, then we're most likely to see multiple offers and get the highest price possible, right? If then. Simple, but powerful. Would it help if, right? So this is, this is something that if somebody is stuck in the maybe, right, and they're really stuck in the indecisive kind of thing, I'm not sure what to do, this or that, right? You want to remain in control and extend the olive branch, right? Show your willingness to put in the effort on their behalf. Would it help if you spoke to some of my past clients to hear their experience? Would it help if I explained how selling privately can end up costing you more? Would it help if I found you a great home inspector who can address those concerns? Would it help if, right? Great line. So those were, I think there was 21 in total. Magic phrases. So I'm going to send out the PDF for you guys with all of the different phrases. Cass is going to send that out in a follow-up. And again, I hope you can use them in your follow-ups, in your emails, in your conversations, in your negotiations. And when you look at them, you can always package a lot of them together, right? And so again, just don't ever underestimate the power of words and how simple questions, how simple phraseology can start moving people one way or another, right? Which is ultimately what we want to do, is unlock better conversations, which leads to more sales. Final reminder, I just want to remember that Christmas, everybody's done the RSVPs and all that kind of stuff, so just make sure it's in your calendar for December 10th. And as well, make sure you to keep it up for those emails for the one-on-one coaching or the one-on-one annual meeting, and as well for the hamper boxes there for those families. Let's make sure we dig deep, go out there. I'm going to send out another email later today with kind of all the items that are needed, because I know Rachel's Large keeps updating me on what they have and some new things. So keep an eye out for that. And when you're out there Christmas shopping or ordering online for your family, click one extra for this family that's in need. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of the week.